The comfort of your favorite seat is now your comfy car selling command center, thanks to Carvana.
It doesn't get any better than this.
Your favorite seat's the best spot in the house. Make it even better by entering your license plate or VIN and getting a real offer in minutes.
There really is no place like home.
And speaking of home, Carvana will pick up your car from yours after you finalize your offer. Visit Carvana.com or download the app and sell your car from your comfy place. That's not just the sound of that first sip of Morning Joe. It's the sound of someone shopping for a car on Carvana from the comfort of home.
That's a good blend.
It's time to take it easy, like answering some easy questions to get pre-qualified for a car in minutes.
Talk about starting the morning right.
Just like customizing your terms so your car fits your budget. Visit Carvana.com or download the app to experience car shopping the way it should be. Convenient, comfortable.
Kepler 47c, a gas giant planet approximately 5 times the mass of Earth, over 3,000 light-years away. It is at least one of a few planets astronomers have observed orbiting a binary star system. But if posts from an anonymous source in 2005 on an email forum including some of the time's leading UFO researchers is to be believed, there is at least one other planet circling 2 stars, and a team of U.S. military scientists were deployed to spend 10 years studying the planet and gather information about the inhabitants. From 2005 to 2016, a person claiming to be a retired official from within the U.S. Defense Intelligence Agency began releasing information that detailed the experiences and scientific findings of the 12 brave men and women who participated in this interplanetary endeavor. Of those 12 pioneers, only 7 were said to have returned. This case file joined the theorists as they slap on the SPF 200 for double the fun and double the suns discussing Project Serpo.
Welcome to Alien Theorist Theorizing, Case File 123. Project Serpo. I'm Braden.
I'm Zelt.
I'm Dan.
And I'm Andrew.
Booyah, we made it.
There's a lot of enthusiasm in your voice tonight, Braden. I really feel it.
Dude, this has been, without a doubt, the lead up to, the setup, and everything in between, the most rage-inducing podcast to not the material fine, great, love it, but
listen,
absolutely
buddy,
everything on a technical level.
Man, you gotta woo-saw a bit, and you're gonna fucking lose all that hair you just grew back. Relax.
So mad.
Braden's been having like a meltdown for the last like half hour.
Dude, I love this so much because I'm always having a meltdown, a technical meltdown.
So,
and someone else has a technical meltdown, I get a little joy inside, just a little bit.
Hey, I have a technical meltdown every time I record by myself, and it doesn't bother me one fucking bit.
Well, you just learn to accept it, that it's going to happen every time.
You know what it is? I think the biggest issue is that I had to do a full studio teardown and then reset up, and I didn't have the time to like patiently oh, this isn't working, okay, whatever. It was just like, we're gonna record in any minute, I have to get this working right now, and of course it's like nothing wants to work.
The old quick setup.
Little segue, we have a meat draw winner, and of course all the meat draw stuff that I normally do with the random name generator stuff doesn't work.
Wait, you mean usually do? You mean the one time?
The one time you did it?
Yeah, it didn't work. Yeah, nothing worked. I had it all set up for easy to do the next month, and can't even open them. Can't even open the documents.
I like how honest we are.
Nothing.
We could just say nothing bad happened and just do the show as normal, but we gotta expel all our
Everything.
faults.
So meat draw winner, Travis Wiggs. Congratulations,
Travis
motherfucker.
Wiggs!
Got some shit's coming your way.
So if you're
Be
supporting
excited. Be more excited than Braden.
supporting at $10 or more, you get entered in the meat draw, and you win some exclusive merch and whatever else other goodies we can chuck in there. Depends how lazy Braden is how much stuff you get.
No, it
doesn't.
just depends. Depends.
Depends,
This month you'll get probably a nice limited edition sweatshirt. Maybe a sticker too. We'll see.
I don't even have a
See what
sweatshirt
they
yet.
look.
You're gonna get Braden's like broken computer they smashed into the floor like 13 times. He's gonna send it to you.
Get the shell
Let me
of
tell
the
you something
computer.
though.
Just a little vial of his
tell you.
tears.
Let me tell you something, brother. If even if your address is hard to spell, you might not get nothing because that's how fucking
That's
thin.
how close he is.
Yeah, that's how close I am to the edge.
You're
right
on
now.
thin ice, Travis Weeks.
Yeah, some motherfuckers always be trying to skate it.
Oh, you can't even get that right. Come on, man.
Dude, it's been a rough 2 days.
Jesus.
It's been rough.
So is the reason you didn't go to work because of that crazy storm that shut the ferries down?
Yeah. So I got to sit in my car for 9 hours
Oh, that's awesome.
waiting for ferries, and then drive home.
But did you get
an hour
paid?
and a half. I got buddy. I
Yeah,
got
that's way
paid.
fucking cooler.
At least you got paid.
So it was this has been like I said. Then I got home late. Then I had to work today. Got off work.
All right,
come
boo
here
fucking
on
who.
a bike.
Move on.
Welcome to the Life of
Come on.
Indie podcast,
Let's go.
Yeah.
where nothing works.
All right. Project Serpo.
Who wants to take it away?
You know what, guys? I'm feeling it this time. I did a lot of research, and I'm actually pretty fucking passionate about this subject. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I'd like to take it away. I'm a big Pacino guy. So
Go for
Are
it.
we in fucking
All right,
wait,
Are we in Bizarro world?
no,
here?
here we go. Are you guys ready?
I guess so.
Yeah. Run it down.
Run it down.
Time, 1973. The place, New York City. Honest police officer Frank Serpico, patrolling the streets. The only good cop left in the city.
Wait,
What do you mean? Wait,
Serpico?
Serpico.
You know, like
Pacino movie,
fucking Al
Serpico.
Pacino. Serpico. Isn't that what we're talking about?
Is this what you did all your research on?
Isn't this
Yes.
what we're talking about?
No.
Did we?
You telling me Project Serpo isn't short for Project Serpico, aka Frank
Listen.
Serpico, the story? Al Pacino.
Well, I mean, in this version,
Did
I
I
guess
tell
it
you-
might be.
Did I tell you how close to the edge of my rope I am? There's some bullshit excuse to get out of the doing research for Serpo. I'm sure all of us would have loved to watch Serpico.
It's a fucking great movie. Pacino.
All of us would love to sit down and watch prime Al Pacino in Serpico.
Is there ever
Police
not prime
corruption.
Pacino though? That's my question.
I don't know what to say.
That's what, yeah, I don't, yeah.
There you go. There is. It's all been prime.
I mean,
We've been
he was in
blessed.
Devil's
Ooh-ah.
Advocate. He was good.
He's great. It's great. He's Scent of a Woman. I watch that movie all the time. It's great.
Not denying I'm not denying they're not good movies. I'm
Ooh-ah.
just
Real
denying.
conspiracy is Al Pacino. Like, how is he never good? How is he never not bad?
Oh, exactly. I just saw him Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Killed it. He was only in the movie for a short little
100%.
time. He's amazing.
Listen, I'm sure if we critiqued it, we could probably find a couple stinkers.
Not a fucking chance. Dog Day Afternoon. Amazing movie. Tony Montana.
Yeah, but you're
okay.
yeah,
That's a
but you
great
can't
fucking-
just name all the good movies he's in.
Because
He's
he's
never
only
a
in
bad
good
movie.
movies.
This classic Pacino
He's
role.
only in
And
good
this
movies.
one, Scarface. You ever seen Scarface?
Here's my question for you. Can you name a bad Pacino movie? No, you can't.
You know what? I will on After
Well,
Hours.
I don't
Give me
know
till
if
After
it's a
Hours.
bad Pacino movie. You just probably haven't seen it.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
Probably
probably
didn't
true.
watch it.
No, they don't exist.
Fucking bury those things.
Okay, anyway,
Just
so
like they buried the details of Project Serpo.
Serpo. What is the real Project Serpo, Dan?
yeah, well, I'm out.
Andrew's out of. This is now a 3-man show.
Yeah, delete his feed.
I gotta get rid of all my cue cards now.
All the notes out the window. According to UFO legend, Project Serpo was a program that was initiated in the 1960s with the general goal of taking Earth people, astronauts, highly trained military astronauts, and we were going to send them to another planet with the help of extraterrestrials. So the story kind of picks up, like, not directly in the 1960s, but it was according to reports, or wherever you get this information. This started all with the catalyst for this whole thing was the Roswell crash. Now, according to information about Serpo and the information surrounding it, they would have you believe that 2 crashes occurred to the Roswell crash. It wasn't just one. There was 2 crafts that actually collided, and one was the one that they found in near Roswell, New Mexico, and there was another one that was also nearby and wasn't found until about 5 years later.
So if we just stop there for a second, if we think about that, like, because we've gone over Roswell, I was like, right away when I was thinking into this, I was like, it's weird that of all the Roswell stuff, when you're looking into Roswell, doesn't really talk about like a crash like this. But then when I'm starting to, I had to I kind of have to stretch with this when I look into like other cases and stuff like that, where I was like, okay, it kind of makes sense. You can kind of make sense that it's 2 crashes. If you think of like Bob Lazar saying they have multiple crafts and stuff like that.
Excavated craft. Maybe that's the excavation, the 5 years later.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where this one struck me as weird right away, where I was like, 2 crashes of Roswell. I was like, well, that immediately differs from the narrative of like the Roswell case.
Because that was all disinformation, Braden. It was a weather balloon, nothing more. Or Project Mogul.
Project Mogul, which is a weather balloon, technically.
Yeah, that was a radio, like a atomic testing detector kind of thing.
Yeah, detecting atomic detonations, atmospheric atomic detonations, mostly. So
yeah, that's what I think when we did our first Roswell case, that seemed like the most plausible in the end. But to actually have 2 craft go down, one found 5 years later, and actually that was
2
the one.
years. Sorry, it was 2 years.
2 years later, that actually had didn't they have a live specimen?
The first one had the live specimen.
Oh, the first one.
So the first one had a live specimen, and after they recovered the second craft was alleged to have they found 6 decomposed bodies,
aliens.
Right? And aliens, right? And they designated these extraterrestrial biological entities as EBEs. Right. So the first one that the living one was an EBE, was designated EBE1.
Right.
Right. And so EBE and that's also the terminology that Linda Moulton Howe uses, the EBEs. I know she likes to talk about those a lot.
What is that? What is that acronym again?
EBE.
Yeah, but what does it stand for?
Extraterrestrial biological entity. So the U.S. government's got their hands on a living extraterrestrial, a living live EBE. And to those who interacted with it, according to these reports. So I also have to say that all the information that we have about Project Serpo came out in 2005 as a result of a information drop on an email forum for UFO researchers,
right?
From an anonymous source who,
Hip Hop Anonymous,
to this day, Hip Hop Anonymous remains Hip Hop Anonymous.
Never actually came forward.
I like how we know
this is
definitively this time that it's definitely not that fucking Carlos prick from the Philadelphia Project, because you can understand what he's trying to say, and it all makes sense. It's not written in pencil crayon. It's nice. It's good. I appreciate it.
It's a better leak.
It's also never mind. Totally forgot what I was gonna say. Man.
He's still stressing.
I was like, I had a thought train there, and just like fast as it came.
It's a rage mind wipe. Like just all you can see is the white hot rage.
Serenity now.
Serenity now.
Sanity later. So they've got their hands on the EBE1 now. According to the information from these leaks on this email forum, right, which allegedly there are about like 36, I believe, this entity could not communicate in English, right? And the way that it did communicate was it would communicate in some sort of like tonal language. So you're kind of, yeah, more than likely accurate, 100% accurate. Pretty sure.
And they're like, is it in pain?
I don't.
They're like, yeah. It sounds so bad.
Just keep screaming.
Yeah.
So although they couldn't communicate in its language, this EBE apparently was able to quickly learn English and learn to communicate with its keepers, its handlers, who I believe were from mostly were from the Air Force.
What did they give him, like a dictionary, or how do you learn it?
Well, there's different report. Like, hey, when I was looking into it, there's like, I think this story's gone through a little bit of telephone. We're gonna see this later, and this is one of the points now. Every now and then I'd read that they came up with some device. This EBE didn't have vocal cords, so they came up with a device that allowed it to speak. Some like whatever, one of those little robotic things. I don't know.
Oh, like that, like the robot and Rick, or the alien in Rick and Morty's in the basement.
Yeah, and but that doesn't make any sense, because then they're like, later on they're like, well, it's so smart it can learn. I was like, well, why wouldn't, like, you could teach it sign language? Like, we don't have any device now for people that like don't have vocal cords. We have this, you can stimulate them and stuff. But it would make more sense to show them written language, or like use mathematics to talk. So I'm like, this is one of those ones where it ranges widely of like, oh, all of a sudden we just taught it English. He's so smart, he knew. But I'm like, it would make it would make more sense if you could teach like rudimentary sign language or something like that.
I mean, the thing was smart enough to fucking get the planet Earth. I don't think it's that far fetched to assume that it's
Like,
well, we don't know that. He was the only surviving member. He could have been the stupid one of the bunch. We don't know.
Yeah.
He could have been the ship janitor.
He was just the wrench turner.
Yeah.
Ship
he was
laborer.
the Maester Daniel.
Maester Dan of the Navy, of Alien Navy. No, but Dan was smart though.
That's what I'm saying.
He was just trapped in the basement.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're
Take me down there.
I don't know. You're gonna send your fucking like badass adventurer. You're not gonna send some.
No, I agree with that. I think if you're sending people, like, if they came to Earth, like how would they have found Earth? Was it like, did they find it from signals that we had sent out years earlier, or
It doesn't say.
No clue.
There's no clue. Like, everything that you kind of read about this says this, like, it doesn't even really say how they crash. Obviously, someone was fucking around if they crashed into each other.
Okay, so we got Paul from that movie, the alien Paul.
Seth Rogen.
Yeah.
Seth Rogen. We got Paul. He learns English. We don't know how he learns it either. That we give him, like, if he's speaking a tonal language, maybe he can just kind of just picks up on ours by listening.
We didn't give this fucking guy anything. He figured it out on his own. We're fucking apes to this guy. We don't know shit.
Maybe he just pulled it out of our brains.
Part of it does
probably.
matter though, because later on in the story, how this guy figures it out definitely comes into play later on. So it's one of those things where it's like, there's so much like varying information about, like, well, he couldn't talk,
Okay.
no vocal cords.
So they
gave him we made up some technology for him to learn it. He just figured it out on his own. There's such a wide range.
That technology was called Pictionary, man. That's how they figured that shit all out.
100%.
Great game.
Oh no, that's charades.
Charades.
He's
Yeah.
drawing it.
Because
He doesn't know how many words there is. He doesn't
Yeah.
understand.
So he
You
learns
all play with
English.
their little whiteboards. Oh,
So they play Pictionary.
They play Pictionary. He learns English, and
right.
then
So they played Pictionary for like 20 years.
yeah.
taught him everything.
And so in the time that they were playing Pictionary, apparently they were able to learn that this EBE was from a planet called Serpo, which was about 40 light years away in the Zeta Reticuli system. And for all of those playing at home, the Zeta Reticuli system is also referenced in the very first alien abduction case of Betty and Barney Hill.
And doesn't that point to the Greys from that system as well?
Right. That's generally in UFO lore, the Greys or the Zeta Reticulans are the ones with the big heads and the large dark eyes. That's usually what you find. A lot of people, like, if you Google Zeta Reticulum, it's probably going to look like that.
But now this guy, he wasn't that, from all accounts, right, from the story. He wasn't a gray. Was he?
It doesn't really.
He calls his people the Ebens.
Yeah, but how convenient is that we name him EBE and he's like, well, isn't that a goddamn coincidence?
Maybe
because we're called the Ebens.
I think we just call them the Ebens. Like I'm not sure they have like if they did have a name, right? Because they speak a tonal language, which which the keepers were never. None of the people were able to decipher, speak, or understand. Like we wouldn't be able to say their name. It'd be like, oh, my name, the name for my people in your language, or would be something like. Like, whatever. Like
dial-up internet.
It's like you get the exchange students from China in college, and their name is like 14 syllables long, and they're like, "My name's Paul." You're like,
call me Paul.
Call me Paul. That's easy for me, but
so call them Ebens. We call you EBs, and you can call us Ebens. That's fine.
Call them the Ebens. They're from the Zeta Reticuli system, and I guess after this EBE1 salvaged from the craft like a communications device where he tried to communicate with his homeworld unsuccessfully.
Right. They tried 6 times, and all 6 times the communication systems failed. And then so in 1952, Mr. Eben, EBE1, passed away. Never making contact. ET was never able to call home.
It was funny because when I was looking into it, a lot of the reports said like he couldn't process meat. Like if he ate meat, he would get sick. It would do something to his digestive system. So he basically lived off like some vegetables, cheese, stuff like that he could eat. And I was like, man, that's just like Zell.
That's
it's
opposite.
all lining up.
That's opposite. I can't eat cheese, but I could eat meat.
Oh,
like
okay.
meat.
Well,
You mean blood? Because
Exactly. I was just gonna say.
We came to this conclusion last.
it's already done.
I forgot I've been recently dubbed a vampire. Look at my skin. It's got a good tone to it today.
Oh, buddy, you're looking like
'cause you
Nosferatu
just-
himself.
You know why it's got a good
Just
tone
suck
to
the
it?
blood
Because
at
it's
it?
minus
Suck the
25,
blood
and
out
I
of
went for a
somebody.
long walk with my dog, and I got mild frostbite.
that's all the blood rushing back.
It's just blood trying to come back and save my skin on my face from falling off.
So like by all accounts, like a lot of the stuff here was making him sick. When we get into his anatomy, didn't have a lot of the filtering organs that we do. Kidneys, bladder, liver was missing. He had like this weird heart lung combo, like a 2-for-1 kind of deal.
A little twofer.
So having a lot of medical difficulties, and he crash landed. So I'm sure he was a little fucked up from that. But
Probably had got his melon rattled a bit on the way down, I'm sure.
so dies in 52, Dan?
Yes.
Okay.
So 1952. So now the scientists pretty much had no way to figure out how to make contact. I mean, this guy had been doing all the work for them. All the EB1 had been doing all the work with our communication system. So now the story comes around to the scientists actually figuring out a way to work the communication system so they actually managed to contact the home planet of Serpo. And which is like, to me, it kind of seems weird because I'm like, okay, so you guys, so the alien who has worked with this and is familiar with the technology, probably worked with it all of his life, couldn't do it 6 times. But then some human scientists figured it out and they got it to work.
Well, so
Yeah.
if he was found, so I guess 47 was Roswell found, so he was alive for 5 years working on this,
Yes.
and he couldn't get it to work.
It didn't say he couldn't get it to work. He couldn't get a response.
Well, he's unsuccessful,
Yeah.
and whatever that means.
How long? Maybe it takes that long for the message to get out, though. Maybe, I don't know.
Well, if here's where the first discrepancy I read in the story is it's 40 light years to their home system. So unless they had some type of like subspace communications accelerator set up on the way back,
Ansible.
like how like that signal wouldn't have got there anyway. But we don't know. Maybe they did. Maybe they had Maybe they're using some type of like orbiting satellite of Earth to send signals through subspace quicker than light speed. I don't know.
They send the message to some quantum dimension teleporter so it goes back in time, so it takes less time to get to where it needs to be. I don't know. That would fit in there.
It loops back 37 years, so it only actually takes 3 years in our time.
Yeah,
I don't know.
They use time differently there, so their perception of time is different. So it's actually shorter. I don't know.
So they get a message. They get a message back from Serpo. Well, they no longer have EBE1 to translate it. So now they're stuck. They're bringing in master linguistics to look it over, try to figure if they can decipher it from what they have from EBE1. They're fucking having an epic struggle. So they decide, listen, these guys are way smarter than us. We're not even going to try to send a message back in their language. We're just going to send a message in English because our primitive ape language is going to be way easier for them to figure out faster than we're going to figure out their language.
Of
so
course.
they do just that. And bingo, these aliens decipher our message and they start sending us messages in broken English, which I thought was funny. They're like, I was like, they learned it, but not well enough.
I would have to say, like, you know, exolinguistics or something would be really interesting. If you've ever seen the movie Arrival, like that's a great movie, kind of describing or kind of theorizing about like the difference in how language develops and how it defines the reality around you. So learning an entire language, especially like, you know, in reference to like how they interact with their universe. Cause there's a whole bunch of stuff later in the story where it's like their entire world is different. The entire way that they see the universe is different. So how would they even possibly be able to communicate
with us?
You know, and within a couple of years, like that's something
Quick.
but
Yeah.
pretty quick.
So what do they start sending us?
I can't.
You up?
Right? It's just like
fucking eggplant emojis.
yeah.
Yeah.
They just send gifts. They communicate
That's where they
through
came
memes.
from.
That's where memes come from. It's from them. We'd have a way easier
That was the original
time
meme.
and we'd have a way easier time of communicating in memes now with alien civilizations. I'd like to see that happen. That would be really good.
Yeah.
That'd be a good science fiction.
It would be good. From all accounts that I could come across, that the communication, all it says was over the next 9 years, they established that a exchange program will take place. It doesn't really say the discourse of the conversation leading up to that. All of a sudden, it's just like, all right, let's do a little swapsies.
Right. And so pretty much the people who running the show, according to the source from this email forum, is that it was the U.S. Air Force running the show. And so they decided to go ahead and pick career military, single, no children, and preferably orphans for their with multiple special skills for this expedition. Right. And after months of doing it, they narrowed it down to about 12 candidates. Right. So they had the 12 final candidates.
Whoa, hold up. So you're telling me they're like forming like a fucking team?
Yeah.
So like a super team.
A super team.
Yes.
So you need a leader of a super team, right? Every super
Okay.
team needs a leader.
Okay. With you.
I can kind of see how that goes in my head. You know what I mean? Like get two government officials sitting in like a fucking dark room, sitting around a table.
That's not just the sound of that first sip of Morning Joe. It's the sound of someone shopping for a car on Carvana from the comfort of home.
That's a good blend.
It's time to take it easy, like answering some easy questions to get pre-qualified for a car in minutes.
Talk about starting the morning right.
just like customizing your terms so your car fits your budget. Visit Carvana.com or download the app to experience car shopping the way it should be. Convenient, comfortable. That's not just the sound of that first sip of Morning Joe. It's the sound of someone shopping for a car on Carvana from the comfort of home.
That's a good blend.
It's time to take it easy, like answering some easy questions to get pre-qualified for a car in minutes.
Talk about starting the morning right.
Just like customizing your terms so your car fits your budget. Visit Carvana.com or download the app to experience car shopping the way it should be. Convenient, comfortable.
We've only got one man for the job. He's a country's only hope. Lance Kincaid.
God damn it. Lance Kincaid died 6 years ago, saving Earth from the nuclear holocaust.
That's what they want you to think. Lance Kincaid is living off a remote island off the coast of Malaysia. He runs a daycare for tiger sharks.
God damn it, Jim. He's a loose cannon.
God damn it, Jim. He's a country's only hope.
God damn it, Jim. He got his whole crew killed.
God damn it, Jim. They were expendable.
Jim, he's goddamn reckless.
He's a goddamn national hero, Jim.
God damn, Jim, he fucked your wife.
God damn, Jim, he fucked your wife too.
God damn it, Jim. Your son calls him Dad.
God damn it, Jim, we got no other options.
God damn it, Jim, we got one other option.
What's that, Jim?
God damn it, get Lance Kincaid on the line.
I'll call him right now. Ring, 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 ring. Ring, 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 ring.
Whoever the hell this is, lose this number.
Lance, it's Colonel Jim Jimerson. We got a job for you.
I'm retired, you son of a bitch.
Lance, you son of a bitch. Your country needs you.
What have my country ever done for me, you son of a bitch?
Lance, goddammit, you son of a bitch. Your planet needs you.
Fuck my planet, you son of a bitch.
Lance, you son of a bitch. You do it for Carol.
Don't you goddamn say her name, you son of a bitch.
You son of a bitch, she would want you to do it.
Fine. But I get to pick the crew.
You son of a bitch, you got a deal.
You son of a bitch, I'm in.
And scene.
That is 100% what happened.
I guarantee
Where the
it.
fuck did that come from?
That
was a fly on the wall for that
exactly
conversation.
what happened.
You son of a
100%
bitch.
verified. Exact. That's Project Serpo. And
Dude, I was
Yeah.
just about to start doing some fucking Foley work.
that was good. It was,
The fuck was that from?
Nowhere. I fucking texted Braden today. I was like, I got an idea.
He's like, I'm gonna go. This was the premise of what he said. He said, when Dan says something about the 12, I'm gonna make a joke about Lance Kincaid, and then let's have a little back and forth that we're two Army generals. And I said, okay.
Both named Jim.
both named Jim.
Yeah. Well, I called him. I was like,
damn it,
as soon
Jim.
as they
Jim
mention
Jimerson.
this Galactic 12, I'm like, all I can think about is fucking Armageddon. And just like a massive like montage of all these random different oil driggers and their fucking different skill sets. And I'm like, that's all I can think of. I can't get it out of my head.
So they put together this.
Crack
They
team.
call it the crack team, the Galactic 12.
Consisting of 11 men, or well, it was supposed to be 10 men and 2 women, but according to some reports, it was actually 12 men, but they're not really sure. It again, the story kind of changes. There's been kind of revisions and stuff that have gone through it, but what we do know is that there were 12 humans.
You know what? It would be tough if you sent 10 men and only 2 females on a cosmic voyage for years and years.
Especially in like 1960, the pool would be pretty small because like in the army at the time, like was women Like they said they had to be career military. Like women had only been in the military for like 20 years, really, like doing stuff. And there was at the time, like 1960, I think there was like 150,000 women, and most of like 80% of them were doing clerical work.
But you got to understand here, like you got to like it's the other 11 are completely fucking irrelevant. The only one that matters is Lance Kincaid.
Yeah. He holds the
Right.
team together.
That's it. He's the glue.
Designated
It's the wild card.
103. So once they've selected their candidates, their Galactic 12, these Galactic 12 were wiped from the public record, or sheep dipped, which was the term. All
Sheep
identification.
I had to
Dipped.
Google that after I read it. I'm
Sheep
like,
dipped. I've never heard
is
that
that?
term for scrubbing
it's
someone.
like on
Scrubbing
Men in Black
everything.
where you touch that orb
Yep.
and it burns your fingerprints off.
gone.
Zap
Well,
off
here's
the fingerprints.
another glaring issue that I had is that half the reports, actually, most of the reports say they were labeled MIA. Then they deleted all their social insurance. They deleted everything afterwards. I was like, why not just leave them MIA?
They're gone.
They're gone. We don't know where they're missing in action.
Yeah, if you let
presumed dead. Like, so
Do you
why
know-
have to go through the next step of like, we did it. Like, obviously people knew them. Like, you know what I mean? So to be like, well, they never existed. Just say they're MIA. Everyone knew they're military.
Yeah.
They were in operation. They're MIA. They're presumed dead. Boom. Easy. Way easier. That to me seems way easier than fucking sheep dipping people.
Maybe if you don't sheep dip, someone's still looking for you. I don't know. Sheep
They would be looking.
probably
if
just-
someone who is looking for you would be looking for you anyways. They'd be like, well, I know this motherfucker existed. I don't care what you say.
It's just fun
I'm
to say sheep
pretty
dip.
sure
Sheep,
the
yeah.
number of women gone MIA from military service is relatively low. So if you may, I think Braden makes a good point, because it's like, it wouldn't be so much like, MIA would make it look like, it's that they're gone. That the absence of them being there would be more noticeable than them actually just being like, they died or something.
Like,
Right.
if you got a call right now, Dan, and you went into the Navy because you were going to go on, you were going to be the next Lance Kincaid on Serpo 2.
Big shoes to fill.
Serpo 2 Electric Boogaloo. Right.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden they're like, okay, Dan's MIA. We'd be like, where's Dan? And they're like, Dan's MIA. And then like a little while later, they're like, Dan who? And we're like, Dan, we know him. He existed. And they're like, nope.
The man has a
Find a
theme
record.
song after his
Yeah.
own name. We know he's
Mr.
alive.
Daniel. They're like, nope.
Don't know that
They're
song.
like, you should re-listen. And we re-listen, and it's just empty air.
Maester.
They scrub everything. All the podcasts.
Yeah, it's just like blank air, like where my voice is. It's just like nothing.
I'm Braden. I'm Zell. I'm Andrew. 55 minutes of the 60-minute pod silent.
This show's amazing.
Show is great.
Okay, so they pick their team, whether it's 10 men, 2 females, or 11 or 12 males, whatever. They have a team of 12, the Cosmic 12. When's the exchange? When's the exchange? When does it happen?
It was originally scheduled for 1964, right? But due to unknown circumstances, when they arrived here, they said they arrived at Holloman Air Force Base on April 24th, 1964, as planned, but something happened and the EBEs had to reschedule. And they said for some reason the exchange got postponed, and the Ebens had to come back in 1965 to pick up the passengers.
You guys traveled all this way.
Yeah.
Well, it makes.
We gotta go do something real quick. Like, we'll be back. We'll be
It's my
back in
mom's
like a year.
birthday. It's my mom's birthday. I gotta go.
No, they
It
probably
makes
did a
more
fucking.
sense to me.
They probably did a
makes more
fucking
sense to-
drive-by and seen how shady we are, and they're like, "Let's get the fuck out of here."
It makes more sense to me that this is one of those times where the story kind of gets telephoned, and I imagine that let's say we're going to believe factual this event happened. I believe that this is one of the aspects that would be wrong. I believe that they thought it was a date and a place and no one came. That was the issue. Because when I was like looking into it stuff, one of the things I read is like it would be really hard to tell another species about a place and a time when their references of time and everything is completely fucking different.
Yeah.
So for you to even line up a day, you'd be like, how, like the stars would have to fucking align for you both to be like on the same fucking page.
No, because at this point now they know our language. So if you know our language, you must be able to know our calendar. It only makes sense. It shouldn't be. You don't think it'd be that much of a stretch to be like, all right, this is our calendar, this is our time.
Well, like they know what our words mean, but
their days are longer and shit. It wouldn't
exactly
make sense.
like their concept of time is
all
completely
fucking
different than
backwards.
ours.
Yeah, but I'm saying if you're that smart, you can traverse the galaxy, you can learn our language, and you can't learn how our time works here.
Okay,
like
no. Here's the thing.
Our agenda, you can't figure out the 24 hour.
I don't blame the Ebens. I don't blame the Ebens on this one.
No, I blame
I'm guessing we fucked it up. We were discussing dates and times, and we're like, yeah, this one. And it was like, no, that was not what we meant.
Did
we're
we
like,
fuck up, or did the Looney Tunes guy that wrote the story up in his fucking parents' bedroom fuck up? I don't want to know.
This is a good story. I like
it's
this one.
great. I'm buying it. It's good. Pretty sure I saw Spielberg do a movie about it, but
It's a very similar. He probably took his inspiration from this.
Well,
story.
let's get it. We'll get into that. Let's get into that at the end. But so right now, they're like, oh, whoops, whatever happened, we had to go. Well, we can't take him right now. Like, we got some other species that we're going to exchange with. This is awkward. We'll come back, pick you guys up later. So they set up a new date and time. What happens there?
So they come back in July of 1965 and they picked him up. And apparently one Eben actually stayed behind on Earth. So we got our exchange going on.
So we get a 12-for-1 exchange.
Yes.
And there's a list of like, not only did we send 12 people, but we sent a shitload of equipment and guns and like ridiculous things allegedly.
well, it's the most American thing to do, is it not?
Well,
Jeeps, motorcycles.
The plan was to send them for 10 years. So they were scheduled to be there. They planned to be on the Eben planet for 10 years. So they sent, I don't know, actually, like the reports kind of differed in some parts. Some parts it says like 40 tons, and then some places it says 400 tons. Not 100% sure.
I read 40 tons is a lot. 400 tons would be crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if they can harness anti-gravity.
I just need just the amount of space that would take. Like, how big is the ship?
Yeah.
I guess it doesn't really say. We don't really know how big their ship is. It could have been a fucking mothership.
Could have been
like
I
these.
think there was something they said it looked like the one from Independence Day.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
Big ship.
Not that big. No, not
shit?
that big. It looked like that. Like it just.
Oh, I was
looked
gonna
like
say,
that. So
just blew into the
investigator-
atmosphere.
Yeah. One of the reporters, one of the investigators on this Project Serpo, after it came out, he said that he had talked to someone who had been involved in the project, and they'd been involved in one of the meetings of when they landed, and had actually had photographs of these craft, and they said that one of the craft resembled one of the things from Independence Day. I want to say ID4, but
Right. So there would probably, if there was a mothership, the mothership wouldn't have come into atmosphere. They would have sent down like a boarding craft or something.
Right. Not a huge one, not like one of the really big like city smashers, but it was probably like a smaller one. It just looked that
Right.
like that.
Yeah.
And to me, I'm like, okay, so your plan is to go to another planet for 10 years with a species that's mastered space travel using anti-gravity, and you're going to bring fucking combustion engines with like limited fuel with you as your.
I didn't.
Like, okay, no, it's all good. We got our own ride.
Did they actually bring that? I didn't. I just thought they bring like fucking. I read suicide pills, 45 Colt revolvers, and M2 carbines.
Mm-hmm.
So for guns, but I didn't read. I'm not sure. I didn't read anything about them bringing motorcycles and shit.
I had two Jeeps and a motorcycle.
Well, I guess if
on
you
the
got to
list
get
that I
around,
read.
you got to get around.
But I was like, you know how useless a motorcycle is? Like on anywhere that's not like a nice road? I'm like, it's not, it didn't say dirt bikes. There's motorcycles.
Yeah.
So to me,
and
I'm
I'd
like-
also have to, yeah. Then you also have to think there's so many questions. Like, okay, so then you have to bring gas, but then you're thinking about you have to map an entire planet, or is that your goal? You're going to map an entire planet. So what are you going to lug these? You lug these motorcycles around? You're going to need enough gas to get them around an entire planet? Like, what?
Yeah, but anything you would need, they would have. They're far more advanced.
Well, they wouldn't.
Right.
Yeah, but they wouldn't
would
have.
have
They wouldn't have
other
fossil fuels
transport.
probably.
They'd have their own transportation. Like, it's just, yeah, that's weird that they.
And they brought a lot of guns. Like I was like, okay, it would make more sense to me to be like, okay, why not just a gun each?
Lots of ammo, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they're bringing this stuff to be like, hey, check it out. America's cool. You guys want to shoot some guns? You want to go for a rip on a fucking
yeah.
motorcycle?
Yeah, maybe this is a species.
Hacking darts.
Yeah.
This is a species that never developed anything like any negative tech, like no killing technology. So like guns and all that stuff is like
Wait,
magic
what?
to
No, they had from the story. It said that they had an interplanetary war with another race at some point.
oh yeah, with particle cannons.
Yeah, they had like particle beams. So you can't tell me that they didn't have any
Well, maybe no.
killing weapons.
Okay, but maybe they didn't have projectile. They had beam rifle technology, but they didn't have projectile technology. Maybe they didn't have gunpowder. Maybe they didn't have like that explosive.
Maybe it's
that.
like just cute. Maybe it's just
Yeah,
cute
but
to
then
see
they'd be like,
look
"That's
at this.
stupid." Like,
at these little
would you
things.
do that?
Why would you put all that energy into that bullet when you could just shoot a laser beam?
Yeah.
Either way,
Either way, so yeah, apparently also this race hasn't mastered space travel because it took 10 months for the Galactic 12 to reach their destination.
well, that's
of the
pretty
planet
good. 10
Serpo.
months to do 40 light years. I'd say that's pretty damn good.
Yeah,
So
it's-
there's been a lot of discussion and comments about how that kind of works out. So nobody's really sure because none of the Galactic 12 were astrophysicists, and they didn't have the really at that time they didn't have the knowledge of like how really space kind of works and all the kind of stuff, information that we're getting now, right? So some people kind of theorize that it's like, oh, maybe it was a system of wormholes. Like they took one wormhole, but then you still have to like you have to transit from that wormhole through regular space till you get to the next wormhole. So it was kind of like that. So
That would make more
But yeah.
sense for 10 months of travel.
yeah. So it wasn't like they just warped to where they needed to go. They had to travel for some point, but no one's really sure about how they did it because I mean they couldn't really see. I don't think they could really see outside the spaceship. And even if I think the Ebens tried to explain how they travel in space, but the Galactic 12 were never really able to comprehend it because they don't work physics the same we do,
Right.
apparently.
So we got these 12. We got the Cosmic 12. They've been scrubbed of their names.
Galactic.
Galactic 12. My bad.
Jesus.
They've been scrubbed of their names and identity. They've been assigned now 3-digit numbers as their names. On the 10-month journey, one member dies. So goes the story.
Right. Pulmonary embolism was apparently his cause of death, and the Ebens took the body away.
What exactly is so pulmonary?
Blood clot.
That's like a heart attack kind of
It's a
thing.
blood clot.
So pulmonary is that lung or
Yeah.
that's lung? Oh, okay.
Right. Because according to the commander's journal that he kept on their journey, when the Galactic 12 boarded their craft, like the atmosphere and what they were breathing, I don't think it was exactly the same composition as we breathe, because it wouldn't be. There's
No,
like
not exactly.
zero chance. There's like
Yeah.
0.01% chance that it's going to be the same thing we do. So there was a lot of talk of like dizziness, fainting, maybe just like a little shortness of breath, those kinds of things. So they weren't able to. So it's a very good chance, like, yeah, if you were kind of doing that, that would have some kind of negative effect on, on the human physiology.
Would make sense.
Right. So they lose one before they even get to the planet. Sucks to be that guy.
They lose one. Now let's bring it. They arrive at Serpo, or that the humans are calling Serpo.
Right. So here's the description that the anonymous source gave that he cited coming from the commander's journal. We see the planet for the first time. We walk down the ramp. Large number of Ebens waiting for us. We see a large Eben, largest one we have seen yet. I guess this guy is the leader, about 1 foot taller than the others. The leader tells us we are welcome to the planet. We are led to an open arena. Looks like a parade field. The ground is dirt. Look up, I see blue skies. The sky is very clear. We see 2 suns, one brighter than the other. The landscape looks like a desert, Arizona or New Mexico.
Tatooine?
No vegetation. Tatooine. Mos Eisley. The largest hive of scum and villainy. One brighter than the other. The landscape no vegetation that we could see. There are rolling hills, but nothing but dirt. The brightness is almost too much for our eyes without sunglasses. What a planet.
What a desert-like planet.
What a dump.
What a fucking dump.
And then when he's talking about
They're all just kicking rocks.
if you are the leader, you must be the tallest. And I'm like, Invader Zim. That's all I'm thinking about. The tallest. Your status in society is determined by your height.
Son of a bitch.
So,
Fuck this planet.
Shut up,
Yeah. This planet's bullshit.
peasant.
how dare you talk when the tallers are talking?
This is the part of the story where they lead them into an arena and lock them in there, and then they're fighting other aliens
Welcome
that
to the Thunderdome, bitches.
they've brought from other planets. Now just a fucking battle
And
royale.
he's like, this is why we brought Lance Kincaid.
You must fight for your planet's honor.
My favorite part about this is like one of the first things they did when they went out exploring. They're like, oh, look, we're going to call this area Little Montana or something like that. And it's just like, is there anything more fucking American than to set foot on a brand new planet, be there for 20 minutes and already start colonizing it? Like, fuck.
This is New York.
I liked when they're like, there was nothing really for them to eat, and the Ebens seem to eat like a paper substance that they make. Basically, they eat paper, and it tastes like paper.
It tastes like paper. So
And it made all
Might
the
have been
humans nauseous.
All right, so they get on this planet.
They eat paper.
They eat some paper.
It
the temperature
sucks.
it's hot. It's 170 degrees. I'm assuming that's
Right.
Fahrenheit, or everyone would be dead.
yeah.
And so at this time, the guy number 308 had died on the ship, and his body has been taken for scientific experiments, is what they're
Weakest
told.
link.
Right. That's what we're told. So at some point, the commander said that he requested to see the body of their companion. And when they were took to go see their companion, who is designated 308, the Ebens were happy to take them to go see them and kind of what they had done with the body, since apparently it was an honor for them to work with a specimen like 308 or like another, from another planet. I guess. I mean, it would be.
It
I
would be
guess,
for
if you-
sure. If you're like scientists and like you get this, maybe it might be their first alien entity for them,
Right.
or the alien. Like,
And so these doctors apparently told the commander that they had used 308's body in order to create cloned human beings.
So now when you say commander, you mean Lance Kincaid.
Lance Kincaid.
Thank you.
I can't say
tallest
Lance
of the
Kincaid
12.
because his name has been he's been sheep dipped.
yeah, he is now 30. Wait, no. What number is Lance
They
Kincaid?
were Lance Kincaid was
Number one.
probably number
Number
102. Sorry,
He's
102.
102?
102. So now in this laboratory that all this stuff was going on in apparently really disturbed the commander. He said that they saw a lot of other strange things going on there. He said that he saw just experiments being done in there that they couldn't really understand what was going on. They saw kind of like half. I imagine it was like Alien Resurrection with the Ripleys. Spoiler.
I feel like,
and it's like, kill me. It's like all kinds of weird stuff going on there.
would you act like, what could be in there that would surprise you? You're on a fucking alien planet and they're like a laboratory where they're dissecting a human body. Like, I feel like everything in there should be really fucking weird.
Well, it would be really weird, but apparently the commander had the understanding that we were going to authorize anything that the Ebens did with the human bodies or our remains or things like that. So apparently it was a very tense situation, and they're
like the leader's like, but I'm the tallest.
I'm the tallest. Look at me. I'm the tallest now.
Yeah. Cut his friend up.
So yeah, it is. They said they had a couple of the astronauts had to calm everybody down and take a step back and really to avoid a major escalation of the incident. So now they couldn't really comprehend what was going on in that lab, but apparently the commander is quoted as saying, "I saw the dark side of this civilization." Right? He saw a bunch of them. He saw what even not just human bodies. He said there were other bodies that were strange looking, and they were either being grown or maintained in tubs.
Dude, these Ebens are sinister. They're coming to here, coming to Earth, making a little peace treaty, a little exchange. Here, just give us 12-year people. 12-year people. All we need.
12 for 1.
12 for 1. Then they take us back. They take our genetic code. They make some hybrids. Next thing you know, we got these. They're infiltrating our governments. They're taking over the planet from within, and there's nothing we can do about it.
If we had the technology, we'd be doing the exact same fucking shit.
Fucking rights we would.
As soon as Mr. Eben 1 died, our buddy, our pal who's given us all this technology, we chopped that motherfucker up.
They sliced him right up.
Yeah, he was still warm.
Sure.
He was still fucking warm. They sent these Galactic 12 or whatever the fuck they're called with special anti-alien spray that they used, and they tested on this fucking guy that was here helping us out, giving us technology. We designed weapons.
His message back home, the reason why they didn't call back, it was probably like, all hope is lost. I'm caught. Do not come. Yeah. I'm being tortured.
Yeah, these fucking apes are terrible.
They're feeding me living animals, living creatures, force feeding me.
So they gathered a lot of information on this thing because they were there for 10 years.
Well, we read 10 years, but then the time difference, they said maybe it was 12 or 13, maybe
right.
Earth years or something.
Yeah, they said at
36-hour days or 42-hour days or something.
Yeah, apparently at some point the all the timekeeping devices that the team had brought stopped working at some point.
They forgot to bring extra batteries in their 40 tons of supplies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They tossed out the batteries to make room for the motorcycles.
Yeah.
And so they started keeping time with the Eben civilization's time and how their diurnal cycles worked. And so they actually ended up staying there for 13 years.
And they stayed that long, but they had stopped contact because they were in contact with the United States government up until 5 years, and then all contact ceased.
Oh, so they did have wormhole communication technology.
Yeah, they were in communication with. I mean, they were still using the same communication devices that had been used before, but they were in communication with the United States. So they were sending messages back and forth from Serpo to Earth.
Right.
So some of the details that are given out about the population of Serpo, it's apparently there's only 650,000 of them.
Fucking nothing.
Which is that's absolutely nothing. This apparently could have been a result as the Eben civilization was said to be about 10,000 years old. But it actually originated on a different planet from which they were forced to leave 5,000 years prior due to volcanic destruction of some sort. Also, the Ebens fought like we mentioned before, some sort of devastating interplanetary war about 2,000 years after that. So 3,000 years ago. And they wiped out their enemies using particle beam weapons. And that war lasted apparently 100 of our years.
Shit.
I would assume. So, yeah. So, I mean, you could say that's why so technically they're just like they were a space colony, or really, they left their planet and they ended up on a different planet. And then they also had a war at some point, fighting these other things. Oh. I can't imagine. It's just funny because this whole story kind of originates where somehow two Eben ships were on planet Earth from the same civilization. It wasn't like they were the two races that were fighting each other. They're the same Ebens because they took the bodies in the end and
they fucking crashed into each other.
And they smashed into each other.
All the galaxy.
Dude, it's old.
They crashed into each other.
It's old family conflict. They both got to Earth in their own ships. Like this, all the planets in the galaxy. You're coming to the one I came to. Fuck that. Yeah. Gives them a little fishtail. Hits the mountain. They both go down. All because of a little family conflict. But here, on this note, this is it. These guys are fucking sinister, and this is another point I'm making here. These guys are trying to take over Earth. They have particle beam weapons where they wiped out their own species almost. And maybe these people said it was a volcanic eruption on their old planet, but maybe they fucking blew it up because they're fighting each other. Now they don't have enough people, and our atmosphere or whatever is a little bit different, but their planet sucks. Sounds like it. It's a desert. It's got 2 suns. The days are so fucking long. It's hot as balls. These guys went off. They find Earth. They set up this little fucking exchange program. Start dissecting one of us, making hybrids. They're infiltrating. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to come to Earth, take it over. And they're probably already here.
Some other theories that I had read into is that maybe they had evolved to the point where they actually had lost the ability to reproduce. And it was more of like they would basically test tube babies, right?
Yeah.
So they're very interested in us because we still have the ability to reproduce, which they don't. So maybe it was in their interest of how can we do some gene splicing to be able to get to that point again where we can reproduce
and then take over their planet.
The Ebens were apparently very interested in interplanetary relations because it's mentioned in the reports that, or these information dumps, that they had visitors from 9 other star systems while the Galactic 12 or 11 at that point, because the other one died. So Galactic 11 were on planet Serpo, and they even made a point to mention that there was the Greys that, like we said, most people thought were from Zeta Reticuli. Not the Ebens are, not the Greys. The Greys are actually from a planet that's near Alpha Centauri A.
So Alpha Centauri that's still the same system, but that's the second because there's 2 suns there. Is that what it is?
I don't think so. I think Alpha Centauri is a different star. The Zeta Reticuli system is a dual star system.
Well, that's what. Yeah, usually when it says A, there's always 2 suns.
Well, maybe.
Alpha Centauri A.
I know because usually it's the sun is A. Alpha Centauri A is the sun, and then Alpha Centauri planets you designate them. I think by B, C.
Okay, so the Ebens, so they're not from the same system. That's what you're saying.
No, the Ebens are different from the Greys.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
But they're both from Zeta Reticuli star system.
Right.
But
it's different from Alpha Centauri.
It's different. So Alpha Centauri, so the Zeta Reticulans are the Greys.
No,
the Ebens are from Zeta Reticuli, and the Greys are from Alpha Centauri.
Yes.
So Betty and Barney Hill got it wrong?
Apparently. According to this.
So separate species.
But maybe it's some Holy Land, right? Where they're both We're from Zeta Reticuli.
Oh.
No, we are.
I see. Could be. So,
So
they are different.
Eventually, they bring all the astronauts home. They get them all here. But two decide to stay on planet Serpo. Why they decide to stay, I'm not 100% sure. Because it sounds like, like we said, that planet sucks.
Sounds like it's shitty. Maybe they fell in love. Fell in love with a fucking Eben. We don't know what they... Maybe they're... I don't know. Maybe. Why else would you want to stay? Really good sand biking.
Yeah.
Paper mache.
Really great food.
Well, one of your buddies fucking died on the ride there. I'm like, do I want to roll the dice and maybe die on the way home? Fuck it, I'm gonna stay here.
And maybe they were sick, right? Because you got to think like, radiation might be affecting you differently.
Didn't they talk about how advanced these Ebens, their medical technology and shit like that were? Like, nobody actually dies there. They just like somebody will fall ill and they do a little seance and bring them back.
I don't know. You think if you had like anti-gravitic or like wormhole technology, you should have been able to master your own health.
Like you'd have some really good medicine and healthcare.
Right. And they were saying that they didn't have like a society based on like currency exchange like we do here. All of their needs were met by like central processing centers. Like you would just go there to get whatever you wanted.
You say they're fucking communists.
Yeah.
Space communists.
And the Americans were working with them?
Oh. This was all a ploy for a
space communism.
Fighting the Red Army.
Space communism.
Well, you know what? No, communism in the definition, if done correctly, probably works. Which it just
theoretically on paper, yes.
It just never does because people take all the power, blah blah blah. But
right.
If it just never does.
That's humans, but maybe these guys have got it figured out and they're like, no, it's just you get what you want and there's no questions asked. Like get what you need. No problem.
Well, and apparently like jobs are assigned to you. Like and just no one has an issue with it. They're just like, yeah, okay, whatever.
No, I'm a fucking gardener.
Job today, all good.
What kind of jobs are on an all sand planet?
Shitty jobs. Really shitty jobs.
Well, apparently it wasn't all sand. They did talk about that two of the astronauts were kind of geologists, cross-trained biologists, and they did an entire mapping of the planet. And they talked about the different areas of Serpo, and they said there were things like it was actually kind of diverse. Wildlife, it doesn't sound like they talk about all that much. They talk a lot about like the geological features, and they talked about there was they had marshlands, they had oceans, they had things like that. But like the oceans weren't really as diverse as ours. They had these kind of like the only kind of wildlife that they saw in there were these kind of like eel-like creatures that were similar to another species of creature that were on the land. That were just like lots of snakes. Like that's why
sounds like a horrible place.
Lots of
snakes and
like
armadillos. Like that's what I read.
2 suns and tons of snakes.
They shot one of the snakes, and then they wanted to eat it. Like the astronauts asked if they could eat it, and the Ebens had to tell them no.
No.
So
it's kind of embarrassing. You go to the planet, you start shooting their snakes, and we're gonna fucking eat it.
Well, I'd be pissed I'd be kind of pissed too if you told me I couldn't eat space snake. Like, I come all this way.
All they have is fucking paper. You got paper. All we're eating is paper.
You got this nice snake. We've got space snake at home. Like,
okay, so
they come home. They fly the remaining 9 home, and they spend a year in quarantine and debriefing.
Quarantine, debriefing, and then they were like released into. They got back in 1978. And the entire thing, the debriefing, all the information that they got apparently was compiled into a 3,000-page book.
Where's this book?
And Anonymous, the person who dumped this information onto this email forum, says that he has a copy of the book. He or she apparently has a copy of this book.
Let's get it out. Come on.
Right? remember all this stuff came out pretty much in 2005. From 2005 until about 2016, I think was the last one.
I like how he chose really, really credible people to leak it to as well.
We'll get into that. We have to talk about. There's a lot of questions. I have a lot of questions.
But that's pretty much the main. That's pretty much the full cycle of the story of the exchange. They went for what they wanted 10 years, but ended up being 12 or 13 Earth years. They came back, debriefed, released. They were what was it? Sheep dipped.
They were
de-dipped
Yeah.
and plugged it back into the Matrix. And they went, and the last guy died in 2002, I believe. And they say
2002.
radiation poisoning.
they say they had shortened lives, yes, because of radiation
How come,
exposure.
So we got no information on the fucking guys that they sent here, though.
Just the one. They just had that one guy.
So we got no information on this guy. Where is this guy now?
In the story, that anything I read, nothing about the Eben, besides the one that was found at Roswell and died later.
Now, see, the part of this, like, where I'm like, okay, where I can get on board with some of this story is that in Roswell, they found an alien alive. Because if you look at that, like, time frame of, like, the technological advancement, it's, like, exponential at that time. So it's like, to me, I'm like, well, if something there is like, like just showing like, okay, yeah, look at this, look how this works. Like, this is a microchip. This is that. And just like guiding us on how to make these things. Because we do see a huge technological advancement, not to mention that soon after this, with EBE-1, like we go to the moon, right? So maybe this thing was helping us and our technology like advance it.
Well, that's the the theory about the recovered crash or recovered craft from Roswell is they reverse engineered like Teflon and fiber optics and you name it. Microchips, like all that stuff. They reverse engineered.
Well, and that's why it's taken so long is because let's say EBE-1 was there helping, right? And then he dies and like, so all his like intricate knowledge is gone with him. So now we're left like, okay, well, there's all this other stuff and all these questions we have. So now it's just us like poking around trying to figure out how this stuff
There's
works.
a bunch of half-finished equations and all that stuff.
Yeah.
He didn't get it all to us because there's no way. Like even like if you say like took one of our smartest people on Earth, even if you took Elon Musk and you dropped them on an alien planet,
Or Dan,
you drop Dan on an alien planet. Dan knows so much, but he can't reconstruct everything we do. He might know like, okay, I know how an electric motor works and I know how all this stuff works, but I can't reproduce it on my own. It's impossible. But he knows it's up there. So he's telling you like, yeah, we have this great technology where we have these little phones, these little devices in our hands and we can connect to anyone almost instantaneously across the planet. But I don't know how it works.
Because I mean, if you like, here's the thing though. If you were to tell like scientists that like whatever, you're like this and this, you give an idea to them that they didn't know, and you're like, this is 100% possible. Like we do this, so then they know like, okay, well, if this works, like there's only a matter of time before I can figure out how to get something to do similar to what this little alien's saying.
Yeah.
Right. And because you would know, you're like, well, I'm on the right track because he's told me this shit works and they use it. So now it's just a matter of time of me figuring out how, of like, even if you're just doing random things, like trying to get it to work.
Yeah. And say like, he kind of told us and he gave us the bare minimum and you put 100 Dans on the project. After so long, maybe they do figure it, we can reverse engineer it and figure it out. And that leads us down a whole nother path of stuff. But
well, even saying like whatever 1965, he's like, this is a microchip. This is how it works. This is what we do with it. It's not like overnight we can be like, well, and now we're making microchips because like we need a proof of concept. So it's like, first we're building these gigantic things. We're like, we got it. We figured it out. We have it now. What he said this little thing does, we've replicated that. It's huge. It's massive. It's clunky, but we know it works. We can do it. Now it's just figuring out how to get it like as small. How do we get this more efficient?
Yep.
And start breaking it down like that. So I'm like, if I'm when I'm looking at this story, I'm like, okay, well, what do there's stuff I like, but there's a lot of stuff I have to leave out of this story for me to be like, okay.
Well, unfortunately, we've never seen this 3,000-page book.
Nope.
That seems like it would answer a lot of questions.
Yeah.
A lot. Like
Maybe.
Well, yeah. Maybe. But say it is everything this anonymous person says. Fuck, that would answer
And this
it.
is
That would
long
answer it all.
before the hacker group Anonymous.
Long before.
Yeah.
So
Not before Hip Hop Anonymous.
Never.
there's a lot to this story. Now, again, like I said, all the information that we have about this Project Serpo comes from these information
Dumps.
leaks,
Yeah.
right? From this entity or this single person who identifies himself as Request Anonymous. And they say that they used to be they're a retired senior official from the U.S. Defense Intelligence Agency. And he's actually part of a group. And it's like a group of people who have decided, like, I think it's like 6 people who've decided that they're going to segmentally release information about Project Serpo. They were going to release it bit by bit.
Right.
So again, nobody has ever found out who they are. Nobody knows who they are. The information stopped coming in 2016. That was pretty much the last time that we heard from this Request Anonymous person.
Was it
who
even
dropped these
was it even
things.
that recent? I thought it was more like 2007 or something.
No, I think 2016 was the very last one. Was it 2007?
Maybe I read it wrong. Either way, it's that we haven't heard anything for years.
Yeah, sorry, 2006. Yeah, sorry, 2006 was the last time that anything has been released from that source. From that.
So 2005 is the first dump from this anonymous character. 2006 is the last, and that's it. Since like December. Yeah, here it is. December 2006 was the last time it's been mentioned with any type of someone saying they had something at least.
Right.
I'm sure like the stories have continued on across the internet and different, like the stories continued, but there's been no like actual like, hey, I have this, I was this person, blah, blah, blah. That's it.
Yeah, there hasn't been anything directly from that source, but there have been people who have like commented on these information dumps, and they've been like, oh, I was the person who trained these 12 people. Like I trained them in psychological, psyops and things like that.
And you can buy my book all about it for $14.95 on Amazon.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that there are, well, you want to say coincidences or whatever, but at least one person who had skin in the game, I think it's Richard Doty.
Yep.
Richard Doty was one of the people. He's an author of a book that came out the same year as these information started coming out. So there has been some
Wasn't this the guy
suspicion.
Richard Doty is the guy who was like, he's admitted that he was part of like a disinformation or hoaxing campaign to the UFO community. And he's
At
reverse
least one
stance on
person.
it.
Yeah. He said that he was involved with the Air Force Office of Special Investigations, and they had gotten reports of a civilian who said he had sighted UFOs, and they had actually gone and kind of manipulated him into thinking that there was an alien invasion that was imminent, and the guy actually went insane. Like, had to check himself into an insane institution. So he had actually admitted to that, but he admitted to that. The Air Force never confirmed it because, I mean, why would they?
Well, yeah. Why would you? If you're shipping off astronauts to different fucking solar system.
Or if you were running like a PSYOP game on some random guy.
Yeah.
It's like, why would you admit to that? But again, so nobody has confirmed any of his story, but he also said that, he had gone into a briefing at least once in like the 1980s, late 1970s, late 1980s.
I think it was 84, and it said that he was briefed on details of the exchange program between 65 and 78, but no further details were given.
Yeah. So my thing is like, why would they even tell him about that?
He doesn't.
It's like, if you're not going to give him any details, like, why would they even tell him about that?
Yeah, if he's the guy who's like
Makes sense.
perpetrating a little disinformation, and they told you that, it just seems like they're trying. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. So there's been a lot of kind of contention about this Project Serpo. Again, you've only got the one source.
One.
Hip
Right?
hop
You've
anonymous.
only got anonymous. That's it. It's all you've got.
Hip hop.
Hip hop anonymous.
And going off of that, nobody really can corroborate or confirm a lot of this. And the people who do say that they have information corroborate have never gone on the record, like official record, to be like, yes, this is what we, I knew about this, or, we'll come out and actually leak some of this information or have like solid proof of what they have. I mean, there's a lot of things. Like, you can go to serpo.org or whatever, and it's like the list of everything. The guy who ran the website has actually stepped down from investigating any of the claims of Project Serpo. I think he's working on a different project now called Project Camelot, which is more about disclosure than anything. UFO just disclosure and getting people to be able to report stuff and getting all that kind of stuff together. But like Serpo almost seems like it's like a dead thing. Like, there's no more information about it.
14 years since anyone claimed anything about it.
Let's get into a glaring issue that we all have with this, is that this story very closely resembles the plot of Close Encounters of a Third Kind.
And that movie was released,
1977.
Oh, it was that long ago, Close Encounters?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was right after Jaws.
I was about to say like 91.
It was a second movie.
What
And
was his
when
first movie? Duel?
Jaws.
Jaws.
Didn't he do Duel too? Isn't that his first movie?
No, that's a Stephen King movie.
Oh, Stephen King.
That's Stephen King.
Stevens,
Yeah.
lump them all together.
All the same. But it's when this is brought up, when reference to Serpo, a lot of people say, well, that's because Steven Spielberg was leaked information. And I'm like, well, there
Why?
is no basis
Why?
for that at all.
Why would he be?
Why would he be leaked information?
Don't
Of all
know.
fucking people.
And all this, there's a lot of stuff that lines up with just the Steven Spielberg thing, because from that movie you have the tonal language, right? The bum 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 bum.
Yep.
Bum, bum, bum. Like, you have that whole thing that they communicate through just using tones and melodies and things like that. And then you also have, in the movie, they had 12 astronauts, if you count them. Like, there's 12 astronauts in that they were going to send on their exchange program, right? Plus Richard Dreyfuss. So, all this stuff just sounds like, to me, it just sounds like a fan fiction sequel to Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
It's pretty fucking good, though.
It's a great plot of a
Yeah,
movie.
I'm into it.
Like,
I'm
it's a
digging it.
good fucking movie.
Well, it was.
Yeah. That's what I mean. It was a good movie. So how did the story pick up so much traction if that's such a glaring connection?
It's because of who he fucking leaked it to.
Internet?
Yeah.
Email dumps?
Yeah.
And just a lot of people in the UFO community.
Bunch of fucking
They,
people with
latched onto
agendas trying to fucking make a little money.
Yeah, but did anyone make any money off this Project Serpo dump? Like, really?
They got the publicity
Doty
from
did.
it, though.
Who did?
Richard Doty, because he wrote the book. He wrote that book that came out the same year.
Yeah, but I thought
About
that was
the
just
same
a part
thing.
of it, though. It's not all about Project Serpo.
Yeah, but it just like, it was, some people have, theorized that this was a viral marketing campaign. Like 2005, it was, people were starting to get into kind of the whole viral marketing thing, and they were thinking this is a way to get people to buy books.
Well,
It wasn't all about Project Serpo, but it was a lot about secret government projects that had to do with extraterrestrials. So it's right in there. Like, if you wanted to put that stuff in there, because if you go through those dumps, like those information dumps, they're maybe like 2 pages each, something like that. Maybe like 1 or 2 pages each. So it's like maybe a couple pages. So even if the book isn't all about Project Serpo, you'd probably have at least a chapter about it. And if it's in there, people would buy that book.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
So again, nothing can be corroborated. Nothing can be verified. There's no physical evidence whatsoever of any of this happening. And there's just a lot of questions to be like, okay, so you had to find 12 people who were orphans. There's also 2 women, 11 men, all referred to each other. They were training for 10 years for this almost, what was it? Like, yeah, they were training like for like 10 years. They had to get degrees in biology, geology, physics, everything. Medical degrees, because they had to have doctors with. They had one of them, at least 2 of them had to be doctors or stuff like that. And you're telling me that none of this stuff leaked out before 2005? And there are people who claim like, oh, I trained these people, like they only referred to themselves by numbers. I'm like, do you know how long it would take to just like erase your own name and not answer to another name? Like, I'm going to be referred to as 103 from now on.
Like you could be vigilant, but you're always, I think if someone says your name, you're going to give a little.
Yeah. You think Lance Kincaid is going to answer to anything but Lance Kincaid?
Not a fucking chance.
No chance.
Not a chance.
You probably say, if you say Lance, he like whips his head and waits. Like Kincaid, he's
Continue.
Like, yeah.
Finish it. So, yeah, there's just a lot of questions. Again, like there's been a lot of comments on the actual thing, like the actual story. Like people have dived real deep into the physics and things like that. And what I find weird is the people who like support it and the people who want to believe it as true and take this as as gospel or whatever. They all say, well, you can't get mixed up in the details. I'm like, no, for me,
details
you absolutely can get mixed up in the details.
Details are important. When you're trying to prove something like this, details are important.
Yeah. And there's just a whole bunch of questions. You're just like, there's no way that these people would just be around for 10 years. Even if you erase them, like what are they doing for 10 years? Like they got to eat, they got to go places. Like they just hang around with each other for 10 years. People would see them. People would, if they had to train them or they needed to, there'd be their teachers, their instructors. Everybody would know.
They
something.
were all taken out, Dan. All the teachers, everyone who had anything to do with these 12, gone.
Oh, yeah. Disappeared.
All MIA.
Yeah.
It makes more like for me to believe any of this, there's so many like inconsistencies with the story that I have to pull a lot of the stuff out for me to be like, okay, I could kind of get on board with this. But at that point, I've edited the story myself so much that I'm like, well, this isn't even
making your own story.
I'm making loose connections with other like cases we've talked about and other conspiracies in order for me to like this one. And I'm like, it just there's too many inconsistencies.
Right. And apparently the story has changed. The story has changed over the years. There's been corrections. There's been revisions. There's things like that. It hasn't been totally consistent. So you have bits and pieces, people adding things, people taking things out.
Usually what happens when a story's fake.
Well, the only thing that I like, as someone who I love the idea of aliens have been here, or they're coming here, or they've been coming here for a long time, is like what's that book? Day After Roswell, the general who claimed to be in charge of keeping like the recovered craft and the non-biological entity a secret. Fuck, what was his name? General Corso. So like, it's not like that part of the story as more to it. Not so much the exchange, but like the recovering of the craft and the bodies and the reverse engineering of technologies got more, like way more that you could try and dig into. But as far as the exchange program, I don't see it. I don't see the exchange program. Unless it was that well done. It's so well done. The greatest conspiracy, the greatest cover up, that there is actually no trail.
You know what would make more sense? Okay, even this would make more sense to me in this context of the story is that, okay, whatever. So let's go with it and say we find EBE1. He helps us. He dies. We are messaging. We think we're going to do some sort of exchange, and that's it. We never hear from them. They never come, and that's it. And that's where that story ends. As soon as you go, oh, no, we sent 12 people with jeeps and guns, and they went. I'm like,
and they came back.
And they came back.
And they got back into society.
You know, and I'm like, where's the fucking technology? Like, what? They brought nothing back?
Maybe
we are not
they brought it back.
Any benefit from that 13-year trip?
That's where we got the cell phones. That's where cell phones came back.
They brought us back to Nokia.
Nokia, the big fucking block. Yeah. Hello?
Indestructible. Yeah. We've actually gone backwards.
Yeah.
But like the building blocks. Oh, okay. All right. You know what? Or I could get on board with that because I was going to say like the building blocks of that technology were already in the works. So it's like these people come back and they're like, yeah, we got to tweak this a little bit. Like, this is how this works. We now understand this a little better. But we had an EBE1. We had an EBIN here. So that doesn't make sense because we had an exchange program. So they would have helped us. We would have advanced way faster.
Maybe we did. Maybe it's all true.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
But
yeah, there's just so many questions and so many little like blank spots, especially when they're like, okay, so he was only releasing stuff for a year when he had a 3,000 page, debrief from these guys, which pretty much encompassed all of their entire journey, their 13 years on that planet. And the only thing he's released is only like these little bit. Like you'd be reading through that thing forever.
3,000 pages is that's huge. That's a fucking tome like this thick, man. Like,
yeah, there's so many things about like how did they survive on the planet? How are you going to be like what did the Ebens really look like? Like how did they evolve on how did they like stay alive on that planet? Because it was like, okay, if it was so the light was so bright, people said like their eye, like they had large eyes, or they're described having large eyes. Why would they have large eyes when they live on a planet that's like they've lived on a planet for like 10,000 years, or and it's like their eyes haven't got any smaller, or they don't wear sunglasses, or what?
But that's the thing. Like, there's not really good description of the Ebens, like really,
no,
at all. They're not. They're not the Greys.
Yeah,
but they're similar. That's all you really got.
And you met creatures from 9 other star systems, and there's not a bunch of more details about that. Like there's at least one description of a race that was like that was like a hybrid race, both mechanical, like it was robotic and biological, probably like the Borg or something. I guess I don't know, but yeah, there's just like so many things. You're just like, how did you communicate with, how did the communication work? If you're sending a message, because the message isn't going to go through the wormholes.
No.
Like how you, I don't know. Maybe if you had like some sort of like,
it's like a subspace tweet or like something like beyond space.
Okay.
I mean, you'd have to have like some sort of like transmission device, like between the wormholes, like on each side.
When they got there, one of the parts I read is one of the lady Ebens just took a real knacking to English right away, and she would help translate. And I was like, what do you mean? I was like, what? You translate? I was like, you've been talking with these things for so long. Like, what do you mean you would translate? And then they're like, oh, and then we got a device that would translate for us. And I'm like what?
Google Translate?
Well, why wouldn't we get this? Why didn't you get that device right away? Why would you have to have this awkward build up of learning the language? It would be way more efficient for her just to be like, here's this device.
It was all part of their plan. It was all part of their plan.
What plan?
That's what I mean.
Anyways.
Okay, let's wrap up the main topic here.
Let's wrap up Serpo here. Yeah.
Serpo, it's a great movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a
1970s Pacino, real on top of his game.
Serpico.
Oh,
and finally, we're going to talk about Pacino now?
Now, okay.
I've been waiting. This
Part
is all I have to do my
two.
research on.
Part 2.
Okay, so Frank Serpico, 1973, New York City.
All right, here I know how to fix this. I know how to fix this right now before it's too late. Just to get rid of them.
I think
Should have done that about
I think
100
it's one of those
podcasts
things
ago.
where it is. It's a really good story, and it's one of those ones I think had we not been doing this podcast and someone been like, "You ever heard of Project Serpo?" and I watched like a YouTube video, I would have been like, "Oh, shit, that's crazy." But now that I've looked into the like so many other cases that this kind of touches on, I'm like, well, this doesn't even add up to these other stories that have way more information about them. Like you would have to ignore other things for this to even make sense. I'm like, it just doesn't. I was like, this is the one thing I'm like, because we've done all the research and other stuff, it just made me way more skeptical. Like if we brought Mr. Conspiracy in tonight, he'd be like, this is unbelievable. Why doesn't everyone know about this? It's wild. What a time to be alive. Right?
Because it's
Like,
all disinformation, Braden. It's all
it just-
disinformation.
yeah, it doesn't. I don't buy it. Anyways, that's my final thought on Serpo.
Fun topic. No sources.
Fun sci-fi story.
Yeah. Great sci-fi.
Watch Close Encounters of the Third Kind. You'll see what we're talking about.
Great
Same
sci-fi.
thing.
Which is actually not that great a movie. I watched it. I don't think
It's
it holds up.
it doesn't.
Just
I
doesn't
don't
hold up
think.
that well.
I haven't seen it in a long time. It probably does not hold up.
Yeah, Richard Dreyfuss is an asshole in that movie. Oh, but you know who we should get on the show is Melinda Dillon. Melinda Dillon was starred in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and she's the mom. She also played the mom in A Christmas Story. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And she was also in Harry and the Hendersons.
Oh.
So she has experience with both
Alien and
extraterrestrials and Bigfoot. Bigfoot is an alien connection.
Prove us wrong.
She knows.
All right, what do we got to
She
do?
knows
What
the
do we
truth.
got to do at the end of the show here? What do we got?
Okay.
Like theory of the week.
Well, you don't want to do a little. Nope.
Fine.
Not gonna say it.
Not in it. He's not in it today.
He's not in
was
it
nothing
today.
To do
Not
with
feeling
it.
it.
It was nothing to do with it. He hates it.
Space news. No space news.
Space news over.
Space news.
No
I have-
auroras.
No auroras. No stars. No asteroids.
So let's do a couple.
No eclipses.
Everything's bullshit.
No supermoons.
We'll do a couple. We'll do a quick one. We'll do a quick one here. An Earth-sized planet in the habitable zone? Question mark. A
Habitable
It's called
zone?
Earth.
New discovery is one special world. T01700D is the newest member of that elite club, a planet that we observe with our Kepler telescope, where we can. What's that?
Transiting exoplanet survey satellite.
Oh, it's not Kepler on this one.
Nope. Kepler has done other ones, but this one is the transiting exoplanet survey satellite tests.
Yeah,
So
give
is that-
credit where credit's
Is this
due.
a whole new world?
A whole new world,
A new fantastic point of view.
Point of view.
Anyways, of all the planets identified so far that could be in a habitable zone, this one seems to be about the same size as Earth and seems to be in the perfect orbit. For
Circling a red dwarf star.
And not just a red dwarf, a steady, volatile sun. So sometimes people think when we find a planet, the sun might be too volatile, and the planet might be a little too close, and it gets sterilized by massive solar ejections. But this one seems to be pretty stable. And I didn't read. Did it say how far it was away? What did they say an estimate? I don't think I read that part.
I didn't give me an exactly.
It's a long fucking way. It's probably
Yeah, it's
we're
probably
not-
a ways away.
We're not getting there anytime soon.
No.
It is cool though. I know people are like, well, you can't. You always guys always cite NASA and blah blah blah. Well, no one else has got no one else has got the
Who
fucking.
else has giant space telescopes?
Just it's like there's no other way to build them. You can't. I guess there's some amateur ones, but there's nothing big enough to be able to see other stars, like other planets, transiting in front of suns. We just can't do it. Like you can see stuff in
Yeah.
our solar system or like big nebulas and stuff with amateur telescopes. But the only guys with the big telescopes is the big company NASA, and a lot of people say like never a straight answer.
Big NASA.
And that can be true. I think I've seen some interviews and stuff of people actually maybe doctoring images and stuff from NASA, but doesn't mean that everything they put out is just absolute bullshit. This just reminds me real quick. So I'm playing a show at Apex in Penticton, BC. We finish a show Saturday night, and this guy's looking at me weird. He's looking at me. He's kind of giving me that eye like he knows who I am, and he comes up to me. He goes, "I know you." I was like, "Oh, yeah." Like we play a lot, like around like the area. Like he's like, "No."
Yeah, I know. You're the guy from A Couple of Monkeys, right?
This guy's about 240 pounds, bald. No, it was not Victor Weens. He's looking at me, and he's like, "No, not from the band. He's like, "You do a podcast?" I went, "Oh yeah, it's called Alien Theorists Theorize." He's like, "Yeah, I was a guest on your show." And then immediately it clicked. I was like, "Oh fuck!"
God, did you have a neck tattoo?
It's the flat Earth guy, the first one.
Oh no!
Wasn't the neck tattoo guy though? It was the younger guy at that time, but now he had like a big beard. I didn't really recognize him, and I was like, "Oh yeah, man!" Cause we were all partying after the show. I was like, "Oh, everyone, this guy's like the first guy we ever interviewed." He's like, "Oh, he believes in the flat Earth. Like he's a character."
Does he still believe?
Oh man, he got really upset when I said, "Hey man, you still into like the flat Earth hub and stuff?" He's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Well, like, are you still like fighting the fight?" He's like, "More than ever, man. More than ever."
I am the fight.
And I went, "Oh, like any new developments? Like, have you found anything?" He's like, "I've found the truth." I was like, "Oh," he's like, "But you're not ready to hear it." And he was dead serious.
Oh, they're trying to hide God.
And then I was with people who never really, like, they're never been into like, never really heard about it before. They're like, "What do you mean flat Earth? Like, tell me one thing about the flat Earth." He's like, did the same old classic flat Earth thing. "I can't tell you anything about the flat Earth until you research it for yourself." And I was like, "All right, guys, we got to go.
Yeah.
Party's over. Let's walk real fast and kind of do some dip dodges up the way here so he doesn't follow us." Seemed like a nice guy. He just, he's full send. Anyways, I had to tell that story.
He was trying to weasel his way back on for a second.
I think he wanted to come back on to tell us the truth, that he found God and
Oh, for fuck's sake.
whatever
That
else.
was the worst.
Anyways, Dan, you want to tell us about some space cookies?
Space cookies. Yes, the first space cookies ever baked in space will be returned to Earth very soon.
Were they baked with
Right.
THC? A little weed,
No.
weed cookie?
No, they're actually they were baked from cookie dough that was donated by the DoubleTree restaurant by the Hilton hotel chain, I believe. They actually sent up a special oven into space that was designed to work in 0G. So they had to, when they put the cookies inside, you had to cook them one at a time. And I thought space cookies would be not that cool, but then I started thinking about it, and it's like, how does a cookie bake? Like, what does a cookie look like when you bake it in 0G? Because it's not rising from the bottom.
It's a big ball or
right?
what?
Yeah, I don't know. They have a picture. They posted a picture on Twitter, and it looks like a little.
Oh, I see it. It's like it kind of looks like just a weird shaped brownie.
Like a blob.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like a little blob. So it's like these. I know they're little ball cookies, and it's like, well, how do they come? Now there's all these questions about it. It's like, well, is it soft? Is it like baked all the way through? Like what is, so they're coming down, and somebody's gonna get those cookies. I wonder if they could be auctioned off or something like that, but they didn't say in the article about what's gonna happen to them. Oh, they're gonna be analyzed
For chemical composition, blah, 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 or whatever.
Whatever. I mean, if they're chock full of space radiation or something, then probably, maybe.
This is how you get superpowers, Dan. You have to eat stuff.
Oh, okay, yeah, we got to get those cookies and get
Gotta get
superpowers. Because what's a better way
How
to
do you
get
think the
superpowers
Cookie
from
Monster
space
got made?
cookies?
Let's be honest.
You can get
That'd be awesome.
you can get I don't know how to do it again. I forgot my
Cookie Monster.
keep those eyes on the skies.
I see nothing but rage.
Oh,
You guys know all my buttons and just love pushing them.
Let the hate flow through you.
let the hate flow through
That's all I have. I got nothing.
you. All right, I'll read some quick Patrons. We'll give a theory of the week. We'll give you a little music, and let's get the fuck out of here because it started late. It's been a shit show.
So cold outside.
It's freezing. It's ridiculous here. Like in Kelowna, where we're from, it doesn't usually get this cold.
Yeah, I'm gonna
And
go start my car while you're doing the fucking Patreon.
minus 25 is beyond cold for where we're from, and
Bill's
it
character.
fucking sucks. Anyways, new Patreon supporters: Seneca, Kim V, Frankie, George Garcia, Ray Garza, Iced Ink. I'm not sure. I think it might be a tattoo artist. I'm not sure.
Cool.
Verity Gowans, Clark Robinson, Gabe Pryor, Amanda Daub, Chase Lovelace. When did we record the last show? Or was it the 6th? Well, I'll do a couple more. Thomas Kellum and, oh yeah, I remember this, Farmer Phil, 80. Newest Patreon supporters. Thank you very much for supporting the show. We've been doing actually pretty good with some extra bonus releases and more to come. So if you haven't, want to check it out for a month, help us out. We appreciate it. And this week's Theorite of the Week, just because he is number 420, I'm going to smoke a big fat bowl for this man.
420 plays it.
George Garcia, Theorite of the Week for being number 420 Patreon supporter.
That guy, George.
Nintendo 420. Right? Is that what we're talking about?
Yes, Dan. Nintendo.
What the fuck is Nintendo?
Nintendo 420.
Has nothing to do with any type of substance.
Oh.
Wait, let's get a quick,
Okay.
Braden, let's get a quick fucking zoom in of, this is Braden's,
Grumpy cat.
this is Braden's frown
That's
face.
exactly like Grumpy Cat.
This is Braden after a long, stressful day, just fucking.
Yeah, if you're not watching the live stream, just like put up a picture of Grumpy Cat, and that's
That's exactly like Grumpy Cat.
Speaking of live stream, if you don't know, we are streaming the show live on YouTube every Monday around 7:30 Pacific. Tonight was a little late.
Around is the key word.
It's ish, okay?
Yeah.
The stream says starting soon-ish, so it starts when it starts.
Usually before 8.
It's before 8. It's around 7:30. You never know.
Mondays.
At
least we're always on Mondays.
Or you can watch them after they release, but
yeah.
Either way. All right. I got to give my band of the week to Will Kuykoven. He's one of our top tier supporters. His band is called The Rowdy Neighbors, and it's got a nice punk rock vibe to it, I'd say.
Oh, fuck yeah. I can't wait.
And the song's called I Got Dacked. Played at the end here. Braden, do you want to sulk your way off this one or what?
Yeah. Well, I guess so. If I have to. Again, congratulations to Travis Wiggs for being this month's Meat Trail winner. Some stuff coming your way. I'll get in contact with you shortly. And for the rest of you, good luck next month. And as we always say, keep those eyes on the skies.
Peace.
Got
The comfort of your favorite seat is now your comfy car selling command center, thanks to Carvana.
It doesn't get any better than this.
Your favorite seat's the best spot in the house. Make it even better by entering your license plate or VIN and getting a real offer in minutes.
There really is no place like home.
And speaking of home, Carvana will pick up your car from yours after you finalize your offer. Visit Carvana.com or download the app and sell your car from your comfy place.
Man, that sunset is gorgeous.
Grill, patio, sunset. Hard to get better than that. Unless you're browsing Carvana's inventory while you soak it all in.
Oh, burger time.
So sit back, get comfortable. Carvana's got thousands of cars under $20,000 just waiting for you.
I could stay here forever.
Carvana, where car buying meets comfort meets convenience. Download the app or visit Carvana.com today.